Because one of the reasons I'm here is my passion for freedom. And as you all know, my son Jesse, Marine Sergeant, gave the ultimate sacrifice for freedom for us and for the Iraqi people. He was protecting the Iraqi Poles the night he was killed. And so I have a personal connection with the cost of freedom, and I have a passion to make it available to all people, and especially in our state of Vermont. H772, the Right to Work Act, allows freedom of choice for workers in the workplace to associate with or not to associate with labor unions. Our state laws currently recognize the right to join a labor union, but they do almost nothing to protect those who don't want to have labor affiliation. The freedom to associate given to us in our Constitution also implies the freedom not to associate. Any genuine personal right should include the freedom to refrain from exercising that right. If a worker's freedom to affiliate with a labor union merits government protection, and the overwhelming consensus says that it does, then it should also follow that the freedom not to affiliate with a labor union also merits that same protection. Today in our state, that right to refrain from associating is not protected. There are 31,000 workers in Vermont who have jobs in a workplace where they may feel pressured to join a union, feel looked down upon if they do not join, and may be obligated to pay dues or fees to an organization that they do not wish to support. These workers may also fear that if they oppose paying these dues or fees, they may lose their job or not be hired for a job that they are qualified for. People should not be forced to contribute to or pay dues to an organization that they do not wish to associate, whether it is a church, the Girl Scouts, or labor union. The Right to Work Act opens the door of freedom not to associate by securing the right of workers to decide for themselves without fear whether or not to join or financially support a union. Studies show that the 24 states in our country that have adopted a right to work statute see more job creation, attract more jobs to their state, have more vibrant economies, have higher personal income growth, lower levels of poverty, and less dependence on the welfare system. Excuse me. Research also shows that this is not a partisan issue. Both Democrat and Republican states alike have become right-to-work states, two of the most recent being Michigan and Indiana. If Vermont becomes a right-to-work state, we would be the first state in New England to embrace this legislation, and it would give us an economic advantage in these fiscally challenging times. Vermont is known for its independence and for wanting to lead the way in new protections for the rights of its citizens. Right-to-work laws are an increasing topic in states across the country, and we can join that conversation and lead the way in being an example of giving our workers full rights in the workplace. In the interest of the rights of the working men and women of Vermont, of sound public fiscal policy, and basic fairness, it is a good time to create true freedom in the workplace through this type of legislation. I want to thank the committee for giving me your time, and I will turn it over to you, Doug.
Thank you. I want to tell you a little bit about myself and my personal experiences within the workforce. I work for Coca-Cola. I'm a truck driver. And I was one of two people who tried to unionize our particular branch. So I do believe in unions. I believe they have their place. I believe that also the pendulum tends to swing from one extreme to the other. Unions are a power structure, like anything else, like government, like big business, like political organizations. They have their rights, they have their places, and even though I tried to form a union, we were unsuccessful. I think one of the reasons may have been is because once we did form a union, we would have to go along with union guidelines, union dues, and everything that goes with it. We are a very small branch of Coca-Cola, and we work very well individually, doing different jobs within that branch. Many unions do not support things like that. They want that if you have one job title, you only do one thing. We were forming a union in order to get safety standards up to what we thought were lacking in our company. We ended up even not forming a union. We did get some of those standards just by sticking up for ourselves. So I believe Vermonters are very independent, as Vicki just said, extremely independent. In other jobs, I was a food salesman, and if we went along with the status quo of how to sell a Vermonter a particular item or branch, the status quo did not work, put it that way. Vermonters are fiercely independent. I also want to talk about my brother's experience. He worked for a steel company, and he tried to get a man fired who he caught going in and punching a clock, going off premises, and coming back at the end of the day and punching out. The people around him said, "Steve, we've never fired a single union employee here by doing that." And I said, "Boy, what a shame." He finally did get that one employee, not without problems. The union was obligated to support this man. And my contention on an issue like that is that man was stealing. He wasn't only stealing from the company, he was stealing from those other employees. He made them so they were less productive. He made them so they were less competitive worldwide. He made them they were less competitive locally. He robbed each one of them, having to pick up the slack for what that one man did not do. Now, if you have a right-to-work state, and you are able to have people within that organization who do not support the union, no longer does the union have quite the same power or pull that it used to. It becomes a little bit more balanced. As I said, I tried to form a union. I do believe in them. I still believe in them. But not having to join a union is a very, very important thing in Vermont. As Vicki already said, we as a state have tended to support rights of people first and foremost. I think that's important. Also, I grew up in a steel town, speaking of steel, and the union there was paid about $13 an hour. Back when I was a teenager, I worked in a local bicycle shop. The minimum wage was $2.25 an hour. They made $13 an hour and up at the shop. The company came to them and said, "If you guys don't take $1 an hour back, we will fold." And they said, "Well, we're going to call your bluff, and we will not take that $1 an hour." And they said, "For 1 year is all we're asking, guys." Well, the long and short of the story was, not only did that branch close, but the whole steel company went under. It's the number 2 steel company in the United States at the time. 60,000 jobs were lost due to union demands, basically. And if we had a right-to-work portion of a bill in that state at that time, I don't think that would have happened. It makes us more competitive, as I said. It makes us stronger. It makes us a better Vermont. And it's good for the workers, and it's good for the company, and it's good for Vermont.